my amigos. Welcome one, welcome all. It's time for, you guessed it, the show with no name. So hold on to your hats, because it's time for liftoff.
T-minus 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3,
Come on, count down with
2,
me.
1, 0.
Come on.
Ignition. Liftoff.
Come on.
Liftoff. 30 minutes after the hour.
Get up there. Get ready. Hold on to your hats. Strap on your seatbelt. Fasten your seatbelts. Hold on to your hats. And get ready for the ride of your life. The show with no name time. On Vaughn Radio. It's a show with no name. Come on. Let's go. Go, 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 go. Welcome. Welcome one, welcome all. It's time for the show with no name on Vaughn Radio. And that applause is for you, my amazing show with no namers. Doesn't matter where you're tuning in from, whether you're tuned in live, whether you're listening to the podcast, I thank you. I thank you for your dedication, your drive, your effort every day. And a special shout out to Gloria and Anix. Why? Well, they've already participated in the question of the week. You know the one we look at on Friday? Yeah, they've already participated. They are way ahead of the game, as we say. Tienen super ventaja. They are way ahead of the game. So give it up for Gloria and Anix. And this week's question of the week: what is your favorite beverage? Thanks to Chris Valrol for sending it to us as well. What's your favorite beverage? Well, her original question was coffee or tea. But I figured we could expand it a little bit. In this way, we talk about all different flavors, textures, smells, right? Because when we talk about food and drink, it's not just the taste, it's the way it smells too. I mean, think about it. When you have a cold, things just don't taste the same. Well, and it's because you can't smell them either. So we eat with, I would like to say, all five senses. All right, well, my amigos, I hope you are ready to rock and roll with our first section of today. It's the Say What soundbite. Say what? Get up, get up. Yes. All right, folks, welcome to your Say What soundbite here on the show with no name. As always, this is a famous person speaking. It could be a speech. It could be taken from a series or sitcom or a movie. Maybe it's an interview. I mean, we hear the gamut. La gama completa. A little bit of everything here. People getting really emotional, people being indifferent, right? Lots of emotion. melodramatic kind of stuff. And then you got more like, just normal conversation. But again, those are all the different situations you'll come across in life. Sometimes you'll have to understand English in a movie or a scene, a sitcom. And other times you'll have to understand it in a presentation. Other times in an airport. So again, all different accents, all different situations. And that's the idea behind our Say What soundbite. Also, a quick reminder, folks. If you are looking for some serious discounts, don't forget we're still in the middle of Black November. Yeah, sounds scary. It isn't, but it sounds scary. Like Black Tuesday, when the stock market crashed. Well, no, it's not scary at all. In fact, you can save 600 euros on our very effective master's program. 600 euros. That's a huge chunk of change. A huge chunk of change. I think you would say un pastizal. 600 euros. And that's on our master's program. But we've got deals all over. What I highly recommend you do is go to our website, grupovon.com. Also, follow us on social media. And also something that since I don't really follow on social media, I'm very selective there. I do subscribe to the Vaughn newsletter. And, that's how I find out about special deals that a lot of times I'll share with you here on the show. But you can find out, you don't need me. You can go straight to the source. As we say, you can hear it straight from the horse's mouth. Yeah, that's the expression. Directamente de la boca del caballo. Straight from the horse's mouth. All right? It reminds me of another expression, and you say the same thing in Spanish. A caballo regalado, right? We say never look a gift horse in the mouth. So wait, we've got two idiomatic expressions that have to do with horses and mouths. Oh, wow, that's interesting. I never thought about it. I mean, I knew we had several that had to do with horses, but what is it with horses and their mouths? Well, again, the expressions are straight from the horse's mouth, directamente de la fuente principal, and then never look a gift horse in the mouth, which means, somebody gives you an opportunity, a gift of any kind, take it, So, all right. Well, as always, I want you guys to listen carefully. I want to see what you can extract from this audio. I don't think it's going to be difficult at all. And knowing your level, knowing my amigos here on the show with no name, I think you should be able to figure it out. Even, I would say, after 2 listens, especially those of you like Elena, who you usually don't need 4 goes. Yeah, another way of saying un intento, you can say try, or you can also say a go. So people like Elena, and you know who you are, sometimes Chris Valrol as well, you guys usually get it after the 2nd or 3rd go. Well, I'm willing to bet that a couple of you will be able to get it and not need all 4 chances, all 4 goes, all 4 shots. Otra forma de decir oportunidades. All 4 shots. Que viene de tiros. It kind of makes sense. All right, here's your Say What soundbite for the first time. Listen carefully.
Were you drinking?
Mom, do we really have to do this? You ask if I was drinking, I say no, and we both know that that's not true. I mean, aren't we past this point in our relationship?
First things first. How you machines doing? You good?
Yeah, we're good.
Good. Let's take a picture. Quick question. ¿Cómo se dice emocionar en inglés?
To emotionate.
No. Think of Michael Jackson. Una pista de audio. It's close to midnight. Something evil's lurking in the dark.
It's Thriller.
That's right. So emocionar is to
Thrill.
Esto es. And this book is the shit will thrill you. It's thrilling.
Sí, señor. This book is the shit. El inglés que no sabías que sabías. 1000 nuevas palabras para tu colección. De la mano de Alberto Alonso
Y Damián Moya.
Así da gusto aprender.
Now we're talking. That's right, folks. And you can pick up this book is The Shit at Von Tienda. Other books I highly recommend from Von Tienda. Our translation book. It's awesome. It is a very, very complete material. It comes with audio, as with all our materials. And really, I think it's got over 6,000 translations. But again, for you who are in the know, enterados, well, you know that really means 24,000. Yeah, well, you take 6,000, you times it by 4, lo multiplicas por cuatro, because you've got, again, you can look at it 4 ways, each translation that you look at. Okay, so let's go with something simple. What time is it? ¿Qué hora es? Fine. Excellent. We've got the interrogative. We've got the question down. All right. But sometimes, and many times, we like to be polite, so we'll ask an indirect question. Do you know? Could you tell me? Excuse me, sir, would you mind telling me what time it is? Ya cambia la estructura. So we've got the indirect question, we've got the direct question, then we've got the affirmative. It's, or you can say it is. Lo que no puedes hacer es it is. Eso no lo permito, no en mi clase, right? It's or it is, mucho más natural contraerlo. It's 12 o'clock. It isn't, negación, 3 p.m. All right, so this is really a way to not just look at it and say, I'm just going to mechanically translate everything on this page, but this is a way to make sure you're really getting it. Because if you can take that with every sentence and do that with every sentence, and then you can even go further. Okay, this is a singular. Okay, whose is it? ¿De quién es? ¿Cómo lo pongo en plural? ¿De quiénes son? No, de quién, yeah, de quién es. Whose are they? Right? Okay. Is it yours? Are they yours? Right? So you can also pluralize another thing. Put it in the past. Were they yours? Whose was it? Instead of whose is it? So always take it a step further. You know, the just think of the translation books or any translation that you might see as just giving you the structure, the formula. And then from there, it's up to you to be creative and to do all the rest. All right, my amigos, let's move on to today's pop quiz. Pop quiz. Pop quiz. Pop quiz. Pop quiz. Quiz. Pop quiz. Yeah. Let's go. Pop quiz. Pop quiz. Pop quiz. Pop quiz. All right, folks, welcome to our pop quiz. Well, I was just telling you about the translation book. I was also telling you about one of my 5 books, which is This Book is the Shit. Well, today we're not looking at any of the ones I mentioned so far, but we're looking at a book that a wonderful friend of mine, an amazing professional, an amazing individual, I think you know her and love her, Heeeeey Holiday. That's right, Heeeeey Holiday. She used to host a program here on the show, and more importantly, she's responsible for her and her team, I should say, were responsible for every single material that's come out of Vaughn in the last 10 years. So, yeah, it's not just the ones that have her name on the cover, okay? But this one actually has her name on the cover. and it's called Expresiones en Inglés que deberías conocer. The translation would be English expressions that you need to know or that you should know, right? English or have to, que deberías, it's another way. So, and these are the big ones. Now, how many idiomatic expressions are there in this book? Pregúntame eso en indirecto ahora. So I just said, how many idiomatic expressions are there? Vamos a quitar. How many expressions or idioms are there in this book? Ask me if I know. Alberto, do you know how many expressions there are in this book? And you see what happened there? There are instead of are there. The question is, are there? The indirect, here's a little trick. The indirect structure is the same exact structure as the affirmative. But again, so technically you're not learning when I just told you there are 4 different structures. Well, yeah, but one of them is kind of a repeat of the other one, right? But you just have to know when to use it. So that's why I always tell people to practice the indirect questions as their own entity. Well, good question. There are, ¿ves? La misma estructura que la indirecta. There are 1,000 idiomatic expressions in this material. I mean, that is huge. It is chock full of idiomatic expressions. Ask me if it comes with audio. Does it come with audio? Did you say it correctly? Dilo en voz alta. Does it come with audio? Yes, but you know what? I want you to ask me indirectly. Pregúntame si viene con audio. Do you know if it comes with audio? Y la respuesta, yes, it comes with audio. ¿Ves? La indirecta otra vez, igual. It comes with. Do you know if it comes with? Es igual que la afirmación. So yes, it comes with around 6 hours of audio. And that audio has got really 2 purposes. A, to listen to it so that you familiarize yourself with the way it sounds, but also to replicate it, to say it aloud, and to make sure you're saying it the closest you can to the way you hear it. And again, in English, that's easier said than done. Entre el dicho y el hecho hay un trecho, we say, that's easier said than done because, you see a word and you're like, well, I think it's pronounced like that. There's no hard, fast rule, as we say, okay, you've got some E before I, except, right, there are rules, but then the problem with our rules, our grammar rules, is there are exceptions to all of them, right? What are the vowels? A, E, I, O, U. Okay, so why is the word shy or cry, why don't they have vowels in them? Well, because you didn't finish the sentence. A, E, I, O, U, and sometimes Y. Yeah. So Y is kind of the unofficial vowel. And be careful with that one because the word vowel is a false friend. You say vocal. It's not vocal. Usually somebody who is very vocal, we would say somebody who's very opinionated. They're not afraid to be vocal and express their opinion. All right. So that's one of those false friends that you want to avoid at all costs. All right. So let's listen to this little excerpt from Expresiones en Inglés que deberías conocer. Again, you can pick it up at Von Tienda. You get 1,000 expressions, 1,000 idiomatic expressions for, are you ready for this? This is insane. 1,000 idiomatic expressions for $9.95. I'm serious. Under 10 euros, you get the 1,000. And believe me, if Ximena, I call her both. If she says you need to know them, she knows what she's talking about. So let's listen to a little bit of that audio right now, and then I'll have a couple questions for you. After all, this is our pop quiz.
As dry as a bone. Bone dry.
Súper seco. Completamente seco.
El pollo asado estaba súper seco y casi incomible.
The roast chicken was as dry as a bone and almost inedible.
¿Qué quieres decir con que la toalla todavía está mojada? Está completamente seca.
What do you mean the towel is still wet? It's bone dry. As easy as pie.
Pan comido. No te angusties. Después de hacerlo un par de veces será pan comido.
Don't panic. After you've done it a couple of times, it will be as easy as pie.
Hacer los cálculos es pan comido una vez conoces el método.
Doing the calculations is as easy as pie once you know the method. As far as I know.
Que yo sepa. Que yo sepa, el contrato no se ha firmado todavía.
As far as I know, the contract hasn't been signed yet.
Que yo sepa, el puesto todavía está disponible.
As far as I know, the job is still available. As far as I remember. As far as I recall.
Si no me falla la memoria, que yo recuerde. Si no me falla la memoria, dijo que había vivido en Nebraska.
As far as I remember, he said he had lived in Nebraska.
Que yo recuerde, dijeron que el plazo era el 16.
As far as I recall, they said the deadline was the 16th. As far as I'm concerned.
En lo que a mí respecta. Mira, en lo que a mí respecta, puede quedarse con su dinero.
Look, as far as I'm concerned, he can keep his money.
En lo que a mí respecta, la situación ha mejorado ahora.
As far as I'm concerned, the situation has now improved. As fast as lightning. As quick as lightning. Lightning fast.
Rápido como un relámpago. De manera súper rápida. Y rápido como un relámpago, ella salió de la casa y corrió a coger autobús.
And as fast as lightning, she was out of the house and running for the bus.
¡Asombroso! ¡Qué rápido! ¿Cómo lo has hecho?
Amazing! That was lightning fast. How did you do it? As fit as a fiddle.
Como una rosa. Con 99 años, Bea está todavía como una rosa.
At 99 years old, Bea is still as fit as a fiddle.
Ella se recuperó pronto después de la operación y ahora está como una rosa.
She recovered quickly after the operation and is now as fit as a fiddle. As flat as a pancake.
Liso como una tabla. Cuando conduces por ciertas partes de la campiña, puedes ver que es lisa como una tabla.
When you drive through parts of the countryside, you can see it's as flat as a pancake.
He oído decir que Holanda es tan lisa como una tabla.
I've heard that Holland is as flat as a pancake. As good as new.
Como nuevo. Una vez que le arreglaron el teléfono a él, quedó como nuevo.
Once he got his phone fixed, it was as good as new.
Déjalo en mis manos y en nada de tiempo estará como nuevo.
Leave it with me and it will be as good as new in no time. As happy as a clam. As happy as Larry.
Feliz como una perdiz. Ella estaba feliz como una perdiz en el vuelo de regreso a casa.
She was as happy as a clam on the flight back home.
No te preocupes por preparar nada sofisticado. Dame un bocadillo y estaré feliz como una perdiz.
Don't worry about making anything fancy. Give me a sandwich and I'll be as happy as Larry.
First things first, how you machines doing? You good?
Yeah, we're good.
Good, good. Let's take a picture. Quick question. ¿Cómo se dice emocionar en inglés?
To emotionate.
No! Think of Michael Jackson. Una pista de audio. It's close to midnight. Something evil's lurking in the dark.
It's Thriller.
That's right. So emocionar is to
Thrill.
eso es. And this book is the shit will thrill you. It's thrilling.
Sí, señor. This book is the shit. El inglés que no sabías que sabías. 1000 nuevas palabras para tu colección. De la mano de Alberto Alonso
Y Damián Moya.
Así da gusto aprender.
Now we're talking. That's right, folks. You can pick up This Book is the Shit, the translation book I was talking about, and of course, Expresiones en Inglés que deberías conocer. All right, well, some of those I imagine you were familiar with, and other ones maybe you weren't. All right, well, here's what I want from you. Now, the first one's not an idiomatic expression, but I'm curious if you know how to use the words comestible e incomestible. All right, so there's number one. Y esto es muy fácil. Dime algo que es comestible y algo que no es comestible. All right, that is number one. Number two, And they used a lot of these. As easy as pie, as flat as a pancake. There are many comparisons in English like that. So, as drunk as a skunk, más pedo que Alfredo. Well, this one, I want you to give me another way to say that something is as easy as pie. Why? We've looked at many different ways to express that here on the show. So something that is easy. All right. I almost gave you another way, but I want you to give it to me. And the third one, a very common thing that's said, que yo sepa. All right, there you go. That is your pop quiz. You've got 3 challenges. Number 1, use comestible and incomestible. The second one, a synonym for easy peasy. I just gave you another one. And the last one, que yo sepa. Folks, we'll be right back with much more, so stick around. Welcome back. Welcome back to the second part of today's show with no name here on Vaughn Radio, where English is exciting. Hell yeah. Well, it's gotta be. You don't want to be sitting here in a boring English class, do you? A monotonous English class. Repeat after me. No way. I couldn't take myself, you know? And I believe that too, you know, the right teacher will make you love a subject in school. There were many subjects I didn't like, but it wasn't because I didn't like the subject matter. It was because I didn't like the way it was taught. The example I always use is Mr. McManus. God bless him. Que Dios le bendiga y todo eso. But, you know. Oh, and Mr. Einhardt. Oh, fuck. Mr. Einhardt. Man, I think that was his name. In high school. He just wanted us to memorize dates and, you know, the Second World War and the French Revolution and 18... And I'm like, what is this? I just felt like he was just like, you need to know the date of the French Revolution. You don't need to know what happened or how it affected life in France before or after. You know, what caused it? No. Just need to know the dates. Okay, I get that the dates are important, but I feel like he was just trying to make us learn dates. And I was like, well, what good is knowing the date, you know, that the Spanish Inquisition was if I don't really get the idea behind the Spanish Inquisition? So it made me, well, I don't want to say hate, but it made me really not interested in history. And I don't want to blame the teacher, but really it was that, because I love history now. I think history is fascinating, you know? I always tell people, you think Game of Thrones is good, which I've never seen, but if you think that is good, study the Roman Empire. I mean, come on, you got fratricide in there, right? It's got everything in there. Backstabbing, literal backstabbing. You know, that's the real Game of Thrones. All right, well, my amigos, as I said, it's got to be fun, so let the fun continue. I'm going to give you the Say What soundbite right now. Now, as I said, this one's, I think, relatively easy. Prove me right. All right, here it is for the second time.
Were you drinking?
Mom, do we really have to do this? You ask if I was drinking, I say no, and we both know that that's not true. I mean, aren't we past this point in our relationship?
Hey, Damian, what's crack-a-lackin', buddy?
Hey, Alberto, I was planning to do some sports this week. What about playing baseball?
Ooh, baseball. I love it. But I'm not sure yet. Can we touch base next week?
Touch base. Estamos en contacto, ¿no? Hablamos en algún momento. Yeah, okay. Let's touch base. Okay, what about basketball? Do you want to play basketball?
Oh man, I love basketball. It's one of my favorite sports. But I don't know if I can this weekend because I've already got plans. Oh man, that's the way the ball bounces.
That's the way the ball bounces. Así están las cosas, ¿no? Así bota la pelota. Así bota la pelota. That's the way the ball bounces. I love that expression. Okay, what about tennis? Do you want to play tennis?
Well, I love tennis, but I'm not really a good player. If you don't mind playing with a novice, the ball's in your court, buddy.
La bola está en mi campo, ¿eh? La pelota está en mi tejado. All right. Do you want to play some soccer?
Sure, I'd love to play some soccer or football, as you call it. What time do we kick off?
Perfect. We're kicking off at 9. Are you available?
Sure, but I might have to play some golf before with some friends. It's par for the course.
It's par for the course. Es lo normal, ¿no? Es lo normalito, lo que se hace.
Mhm.
Okay, what about billiards? Do you like playing billiards?
Yeah, but right now I'm behind the 8 ball.
I'm behind the 8 ball. Estás detrás de la bola 8, como que llevas las de perder.
Yeah, wow, a lot of idiomatic expressions here.
Muy buenas expresiones. Si es que así da gusto aprender inglés con un profe como Alberto y un poquito de creatividad, tienes This Book is the Shit. El mejor libro para aprender inglés que te has echado a la cara in your life. Píllatelo, vas a disfrutar mogollón de dibujos para que lo aprendas todo fácil, con conexiones lógicas y divertidas. Es la manera más sencilla y más divertida de aprender inglés. No te la pierdas.
Damián, you're such a good sport. Te enrollas. You can pick up your copy of This Book is the Shit at
Vaughantienda.com.
It's the Shit. That's right, folks. This book is the shit, available at vaughantienda.com. But we're not looking at This Book is the Shit right now. Nope. Today we're looking at expresiones en inglés que deberías conocer. As I said, 1,000 idiomatic expressions in one book. And all of these expressions have audio, as you heard before. Around 6 hours of audio, and for the modest price of $9.95. $9.95. Cheap as chips. Ah, mira, otro as, right? So, siempre la estructura ahí es as, adjetivo as, right? So, as drunk as a skunk. Just be careful, because I've heard people say as bigger as. No, as big as. O sea, no es el comparativo, siempre va el adjetivo puro ahí. Okay? Or as bigger than. No, bigger va con than. Pero ya al momento que es as, piensas esto, as, adjetivo as. And if you remember that, just it's the pure adjective. There's no comparative or superlative. That's a different structure then. Right? So they all have the same thing. They're comparing something, but in a different way, right? He's taller than his father. He isn't as tall as his mother, all right? And we use these all the time, right? As old as the hills. That's right. As old as the hills. You say más viejo que Matusalén, if I'm not mistaken. We say tan viejo. In fact, somebody asked me the other day on Twitter, ¿cómo se dice que soy más viejo que las... And I forgot what he said. He didn't say Matusalén. He used another one. And I said, I'm as old as the hills. O sea, las colinas llevan ahí desde el principio, ¿no? I'm as old as the hills. I'm as hungry as a bear, right? As quiet as a mouse. We use a lot of these as in idiomatic expressions. I'm as pleased as punch. Ponche. Yeah, estoy súper contento. Right? I'm as pleased as punch. It's as plain as day. That means it's easy to see. Anyone can see it, right? It's as plain as day. So again, these are some of the common ones. Let me see. I have a few more written down here. And let's see. Okay. As hard as nails. That's one we use. As hard or as tough as nails. Como los clavos. Remember the other day we looked at as sharp as a tack. Este lo pilla todo, eh? He's as sharp as a tack. And when do you remember the one we say when someone's not too bright? They're not on it. No están espabilados. We say as sharp as a marble. Tan puntiagudo, que también es puntiagudo, sharp, como una canica. You know those little round, there's no sharp edge, right? As black as night. As fit as a fiddle. That was one we heard in there. That means you're in good shape. You're as fit as a fiddle. I like this one. Sound as a pound. As sound as a pound. And sound here no es sonido, but it means mentally sane, right? It means you're not insane. You got a good head on your shoulders, which is another idiomatic expression. And any more? As high as a kite, we've looked at recently. Este está colocadísimo. He's as high as a kite. Okay. As flat as a pancake. I'm going through there. I'm looking at a list of them and I'm just trying to choose the most common ones. As clean as a whistle. Yeah, yo no sé por qué. Los pitos, are they clean? Well, we use the expression, I want this room to be as clean as a whistle. And then here's my favorite one. It's as cold as hell. It's as cold. And you know what we also say? It's as hot as hell. Yeah. Now, you can also say as fuck, just so you know. De hecho, el AF es eso. Man, it's as cold AF. It's as cold as fuck. De cojones, I think, would be the proper translation there. Hey, you want to learn real English? That's what I'm teaching you. The obvious one, he's as fat as a pig, right? As fat as a pig. So again, I'm going through some of the most common ones here. And let me say, as light as a feather, okay? Como how do you say feather? Una pluma, right? He's as light as a feather, okay? As ugly as sin. Oh, esa me encanta, man. Y muchas veces te lo digo, nos comemos el primer as. He's ugly as sin. Pero sería he's as ugly as sin. Tan feo como el pecado. As white as snow, right? I'm trying to think. Well, if any other ones come up, I'll let you know. But those are some that came to mind. And a couple, I even looked at a list over here, and there were like 200 of them. But what I just did is chose some of the most common ones. As fit as a fiddle, as flat as a pancake. Those were in the audio. As good as new, como nuevo, right? After he fixed my laptop, it was as good as new. Another thing we heard in the audio, in no time. We use that a lot. In no time means right away. I think you say en un santiamén, en un abrir y cerrar de los ojos, right? So, en un santiamén, en un abrir y cerrar de los ojos, okay? We can also say in the blink of an eye, in the blink of an eye. Oh, there's another one that was in the audio. I'm as happy as a clam. Yeah, you say, ¿qué animal you said? No me acuerdo el que usaron. Estoy tan contento. Como una perdiz. That's funny. You guys say a perdiz, and we say una almeja. Perdiz, I'm trying to think how you say in English. A partridge. I'm as happy as a partridge. We don't say that in English. I'm as happy as a clam or as happy as Larry. In fact, now I'm curious. Happy as Larry etymology. Anytime you want to find the origin of a word, you can. Let's check it out. The origin of happy as Larry. ¿Ves? Aquí se comen la as. Un truquito. Muchas veces el primer as, y más si es frase hecha, nos lo comemos. Yo no diría, I'm as tired as fuck. Lo más natural que yo diría es, I'm tired as fuck. Pero técnicamente va el primer as antes del adjetivo. Remember, it's as, adjetivo as. Eso es la teoría. Otra cosa es lo que sale en nuestras bocas, ¿ok? Y otra vez, tan común que se pone AF. I'm as tired AF, okay? The origin of happy as Larry is uncertain, with theories suggesting it could be an arbitrary rhyming phrase, possibly related to the Australian boxer Larry Foley. Though the earliest recorded uses predate his fame. So that doesn't make sense. Well, I guess that's the number one etymology. Also another one which is debated, break a leg. Like your mucha mierda is very clear, right? Before, people used to come to the theater on their horses and buggies. So if there was mucha mierda delante del teatro, es que había muchos caballos y carruajes y pues era un éxito. I love it. And I always tell the story. The first time somebody said that to me in Spain, I was like, whoa. I remember I was at an audition, haciendo un casting. And I was having a great conversation with this guy, really nice guy. I was like, wow, que majo tal, you know? And they say, Nueva York, y bang, you know, we were chatting. I was like, really, really nice guy. And then they're like, Alberto Alonso. I'm like, okay, pues me toca, you know, my turn. And he's like, mucha mierda. I'm like, whoa, what just happened? And I remember going home that night. My mom goes, how did the audition go? And I said, well, people are pretty competitive here, pretty cutthroat. Mucha mierda. And then I realized he was telling me break a leg. It took me a day or two and asking around. And then because that wasn't the time, it was around 2004. So it wasn't that time where we were walking around with smartphones and looking everything up instantly. You had to kind of like figure things out. You had to use your brain. Remember those days? And I just remember I was in shock. I was like, well, I thought we were having a nice conversation here. And the guy just wished me a lot of shit. Those little things. But hey, that's how you learn. You learn by being in a situation, by going through it and saying, okay, well, I'll never make that mistake again. Now, when somebody says mucha mierda or I say it, I'm really saying break a leg. All right, well, let's go on over here to our comment section. I see we've got a lot of students participating, which is awesome. Hello to all of you. Chris Valrol checking in. What's up, Chris Valrol? She says, morning, eager show with no namers. Oh, there's another one. I'm as eager as a beaver. De hecho, sí, he's an eager beaver. Un castor. Now, are they eager? ¿Son entusiastas? Or porque suena? That's a good question. But there's another one. So, morning, eager show with no namers. Here we learn English and much more. That's the idea. She says our wisdom grows every day. Absolutely. And it's, as I always say, I hope you're learning more than just English here as well. You know, since we look at, you know, movies, music, we look at historical events. Sure we do. What do you think our spelling bee is? Our spelling bee is a section that I used to have called Today in History. And now what I do is I put the key vocabulary words in your court, and you've got to tell me, and then we link them together to tell the story of what happened in history. So now, you know, I make you guys work a little bit more in the Today in History section. And again, that came from me realizing that a lot of people didn't know the difference between A, E, I, J, and G. You know, and I said, oh, but high-level students, where I said, you don't know how to spell your email address for me? Because Gutierrez, you can say, well, it's Gutierrez. Well, tell an American to spell Gutierrez. 2 R's, 2 Z's, 2 E's, you know, how do I spell that? So you have to sometimes spell it out, right? Or forget about it. If you have to spell out a Movistar password, a Wi-Fi password, good luck with that one. All right, let's take a look. Y luego hay que saber lowercase, uppercase, right? You say minúscula, mayúscula. Uppercase or capital, se dice para mayúscula. And minúscula is lowercase, solo lowercase. O sea, para mayúscula tenemos dos. Uppercase or capital letters. Now, it makes more sense to use uppercase and lowercase because then they're kind of, as antonyms, they make sense. All right. Chris has something to say about our Say What soundbite. She says, I heard a conversation between a mother and her daughter. I'd say the mom asks her daughter if she was drinking spirits. And the answer was, save yourself the question because you don't want to hear the real answer. All right. Excellent job, Chris. Good ear. Yeah, sounds like a youngster involved in underage drinking. All right, great. Let's see. Chris says the stew at that place was inedible. Excellent. Unlike their cannelloni, which are very edible. Okay, so inedible versus edible. Okay. Also, let me tell you another thing with this edible versus inedible. If something is edible, that means you can eat it. It won't kill you. Okay. If something is eatable, that means you can eat it, but you really don't want to because it doesn't taste good. So there's a nuance between edible and eatable. And then you've got inedible and uneatable. Okay. So si es con el eat, no es que te va a matar, pero bueno, se puede comer, pero no con sonrisa. You get what I'm saying? So excellent. Edible versus inedible. I always think of certain mushrooms, no? Algunas setas, wild mushrooms. Some are edible and some are inedible. You don't want to, or berries, las bayas too, right? And let's see, the next one she says, as far as I know, que yo sepa, it was a walk in the park. Excellent job. Wow. As far as I know, que yo sepa. Now, just be careful because people get confused with these too. As far as I know, que yo sepa, right? As far as I'm concerned, and that one's en lo que a mí me respeta. Is that how you say it? En lo que a mí respeta, right? They're a little bit different there. So as far as I know, this is the only information I have. And as far as I'm concerned means, well, my opinion, is this based on, my interest in it. So en lo que a mí me respeta, I don't know if I'm saying that right in Spanish, is as far as I'm concerned. And as far as I know is que yo sepa. And it's so common that it's an acronym. AF, as far as I know. AFAIK. A fake, right? And that is, as far as I know, right? O sea, tan común que tiene su propio acrónimo. All right? So, and a walk in the park. Excellent. That's another way of saying that something is easy as pie. It's a breeze. It's a walk in the park. All right. A walk in the park, a breeze, also a piece of cake. Hey, man, English is a piece of cake, right? I hope you feel that way. At least we try and make it as easy as pie here, right? So great job, Chris, in our pop quiz and Say What soundbite. There's Gloria, who is way ahead of the game. In fact, I got her question of the week participation last week. So she is like, check it off the list. What's my next challenge? Gloria, you are awesome. She says, morning, everybody. I just remember this one. Snug as a bug in a rug. Oh, wow. Buenísima. That's a great one. Snug. Y ves, Gloria es tan nativa que sabe que ese as al final es opcional. So you can say, I'm as snug as a bug in a rug. Or I'm snug as a bug in a rug. Right? Otra vez nos comemos muchas veces el primer as. Más a gusto que un arbusto. Hey, it rhymes in English and in Spanish. Wow. I think about it last night. Last night, I was tucking my daughter in. You know what this is? Well, you tuck in your shirt, es meter la camiseta. Well, to tuck a person is meterle en la cama, ponerle la mantita. And then she said, Daddy, can you lie with me a little bit? ¿Te tumbas conmigo un poco? And I said, sure. And she literally was like, here, let me cover you up so you don't get cold. And she put her little arms around me and she was rubbing my head. And I said, in that moment, I thought, right now, I'm as snug as a bug in a rug. Más a gusto que un arbusto. That's the perfect example. In my daughter's arms, under a blanket, and all cozy. Excellent. Snug. The word snug by itself, snug is like apretado, que no hay mucho sitio para moverse. Caliente, acogedor, ajustado, ceñido, right? Pegadito, right? Snug is a bug in a rug, en una alfombra, right? Que está ahí metido, está como calentito, está como que no tiene mucho margen para moverse porque está como calentito, right? Snug. And you can say it can be a negative thing. Oh man, those jeans are a little bit snug. It's like when you see these overweight guys wearing skinny jeans. You're like, hey, it looks a little bit like morcilla or chorizo over there. Embutido. And Gloria says, I just joined the show. Well, great to have you on board, Gloria. Let's see. Chris says, we also have más feo que pegar a un padre. Ask Marvin Gaye. Okay. And in English, it says ugly as sin. We say as ugly as sin. Creo que lo vimos antes. Tan feo como el pecado. And she says, the other day, I was writing to a friend. I'm as happy as Larry. And she asked me, who is Larry? Now she knows it's an expression. Well, supposedly it's a boxer, but we can't even confirm that. So we'll just say Larry. Why not? Larry David, the creator of Seinfeld. Why not? Chris says, what a beautiful way to end the day. No doubt about it. And you know how I start my day? I always, because I go to the gym first thing in the morning, I always leave my daughter a little note. And then she leaves me a note. So when I come back from the gym, I read a note from my daughter. I couldn't think of a better way to start or end my day. Amigos, we have got to go to a quick commercial break. Be right back. Stick around. Welcome back. Welcome back to the second half of today's show with no name here on Vaughn Radio. Thank you so much for joining us, for learning and laughing with us every day. It's a pleasure to have students like you. I don't have to motivate you. You're already motivated. I mean, I do anyway. But wow. In fact, a lot of times you guys are my inspiration. When I'm as slow as molasses, tan lento como la melaza. Piensa, melaza, you can try and pour it. It's not going to move. Cuando espeso, you say. O sea, hay muchas comparaciones de estos. As slow as fast as, we heard in the audio, as fast as lightning. All right, well, in this part of the show, we're going to start things off with our homophones. Then we've got our Say What soundbite for the third time. We've also got our news report. We've got life hacks. Man, we've got a lot of stuff to cover on today's show. We'll see how much we can get done. We've got our spelling bee as well. Man. Woo. We're going to have to put the pedal to the metal here, folks. Because as always, tons of stuff to do. The fun never stops. Even when this show is over, you can continue to learn with all my amigos here on Vaughn Radio. Just download the free app and never stop learning. All right, amigos, it's time for Homophones on the Show with No Name.
Homophones on the show with no name. It's homophones time, cause homophones rhyme. They sound the same on the show with no name. The show with no name. Homophones on the show with no name. Cause homophones time, cause homophones rhyme. They sound the same on the show with no name. The show with no name. The show with no name. The show with no name.
That's right. Welcome to our homophones section. Well, the other word, the first word, I've already said a couple times. We used it para decir directamente de la fuente, ¿no? De la fuente directo. Y we also used it for a caballo regalado, no le mires al diente. All right, so you should know that word. And the first word is what I just said, caballo. Okay. Now, además de caballo, it's also in gymnastics, potro. You know the thing that they do? They lift themselves up in gymnastics, potro. Okay, or caballo? Yeah, potro. Okay. Also, it's another way of saying heroin. Okay. In fact, watching The Sopranos recently, they said it like that because, you know, they speak in codes. Okay. Also, it's used in carpentry. Okay. When you need to cut something, you can put it on un caballete. Okay. So, and if we put around after it, it's hacer el tonto, hacer el ganso, hacer payasadas. Okay. So, definitely a useful word. And another idiomatic expression that uses this, harina de otro costal. So three common idiomatic expressions. It's not just caballo, the animal. It's a word that you should know because of its many uses, whether in gymnastics, whether in carpentry, whether using the phrasal verb with around. It's a word you need to know. All right. And the second word is, it's not a pretty word, but I want to make sure you know how to pronounce it. And instead of, using it incorrectly, I'd rather deal with it here on the show. And that word is another word for prostitute. But I want the plural. So the first word is caballo y todos sus usos. And the second one is prostitutas. Okay, it says here putas too. I hate that word. But again, I'm not teaching you this word so you use it. I'm teaching you so if it does sound like caballo, well, that you make sure you're very clear that you're not saying it, right? It's also thora. So it's the plural, okay? The plural of prostitutes. So prostitutes, ugly word, but I want to know if you know how to pronounce it. And obviously, if you know how to spell it, and if it sounds like caballo. So the first word, caballo, the second word, prostitutas. What are the words? And do they sound exactly the same or not? All right, let me give you today's Say What soundbite as well. I'm going to give it to you for the third time. And I imagine we're getting a little bit closer to figuring it out because I don't think this one's too tough. Maybe I'm wrong.
Were you drinking?
Mom, do we really have to do this? You ask if I was drinking, I say no, and we both know that that's not true. I mean, aren't we past this point in our relationship?
Listen carefully. Can you hear that? No. Listen closer. I'm not talking about the birds chirping. I'm talking about everybody speaking English and feeling comfortable. Listen. This is what it's like at Vaughntown, a peaceful place where you can really learn English and lose your inhibitions. There's a reason it's one of our star programs. Vaughntown, lose your fear of speaking English. If you want more information about this immersive experience, go to grupovon.com or give us a call, 911-385831. Lose your fear of speaking English and express yourself with clarity at Vaughntown. That's right, folks. More information about Vaughntown, you can go to our website, grupovon.com. That's right, it's grupovon.com. Also, you can follow us on social media as well, and this way you'll know what's going on in the Vaughan world, such as our €600 discount. Yeah, you heard right, €600 off if you sign up for our master's program before November 30th, 2025. And if you're tuned in live, the clock is ticking, okay? Because that's just a couple days away. All right, my amigos, there you go. That's your info. I know we've got other deals going on right now, but I'll let you follow us on social media to find out what those deals are. Or again, you can subscribe to our free newsletter, and this way you don't even have to use social media, right? I understand if you don't like social media. In fact, many people now are kind of like, okay. So no problem. No problem. You can get it the old-fashioned way in your inbox, in your email, and you don't have to scroll through 75 different advertisements to see what your friends are doing. You know, I remember back in the day, I'd be like, oh, let's see what my friends are doing. And now it's like, let me see what my friends are doing. And I have to take a look at like 75 different ads, anuncios, just to see one of my friends. And I'm like, well, that's not, no. I'll just write to my friends then. Hey, how you doing? You know, I don't have to see. And again, on social media, do people really put how they're doing? No. If somebody's going through a difficult time, do they usually put it on social media? They usually brag, right? To say, look at me, when they're doing something nice or cool or something that they think everybody's going to approve of. But if somebody's depressed, going through a difficult time, you know, feeling anxiety, normally they don't share that. So that's up to you as your friend, as a good friend, to say, hey man, how's everything? No, but for real, like not, you know, don't tell me what I want to hear. You know, how's everything? Are you doing okay, man? I know things are tough with your family, whatever. So here, there's a little reminder. Reach out to your friends and loved ones today, not on social media. I mean, reach out, give them a call, write them a message. Hey, I'm thinking about you. How you doing? You know, without the ads. And you don't even have to read an ad. Look at that. All right, let's take a look at our comments over here. Chris Valrol is the first one to take a stab at today's homophones, and she gives us the two words, and she says they're homophones. Oh, I don't know. So they are, but she's not sure, she's saying. Okay, but if you had to guess, you'd say that they are homophones. All right, let's see what Gloria has to say. Okay, Gloria says the two words correctly. She wrote them correctly, I should say. And Gloria says they sound alike. All right, well, let's say the words. That's usually the best way to figure out if they're homophones or not, because you have ears, you can hear. All right, the first word is horse. Horse. Okay, we said, harina de otro costal. That's a horse of a different color. ¿Algún fan aquí del Mago de Oz? You know that scene where the horse changes colors? Well, remember they wouldn't let her into Oz. They're like, you guys can't come in here. And then I don't remember what they said. They knocked again. They said, well, we have an appointment with, you know, oh, well, that's a horse of a different color. Eso viene a decir es harina de otro costal, pero there you can see the visual representation of this idiomatic expression. Okay. So, and I remember that was the first time I heard the idiomatic expression, and it was very visual, so much that I'll never forget it. And I must have been 6 or 7 years old when I first saw that horse changing colors. And I said, Mom, what's that? She goes, that's a horse of a different color. And I said, but that's weird. Well, she goes, it also means that's a different story, right? It's another way to say that's a different story. All right. So horse, that's the caballo, right? Horse. And the second word is whores. Okay. The whores, and again, I'm using this word just to show you how to pronounce it. It's not a word that I generally use. I think it's a disgusting word, to be honest. But again, not just because a word's disgusting doesn't mean you should ignore it and pretend it doesn't exist, right? That's absurd. It's like, oh, there's problems in the world, but I'll just ignore them and pretend they don't exist. Well, that stinks until they hit you. Then they exist, right? So we never want to be ignorant just to be ignorant. We need to know. So we know, A, that we're saying it right. Y no estamos insultando a alguien sin querer también, right? So the first word, horse. The second word, whores. Okay, so let me say them together. The whores, again, I'm using the word so you hear it. The whores want to ride a horse. The whores want to ride a horse. The whores want to ride a horse. They are not homophones. Thank God. Because that could get really confusing, right? I love to ride the whores. Excuse me? What? What did you just say? So no, they don't sound the same. Thankfully, somebody there was thinking and said, okay, this shouldn't sound the same as this. So horse acaba con ese. Sonido ese. Acaba con una E, pero digo el sonido. Horse. He said he wants to ride his horse with the whores. Zzz, zzz. Whores. Zzz. So they don't sound the same. And again, thankfully, but just so you know, okay, make sure you're pronouncing caballo. The other word, I don't recommend you use it, but now you know that it's pronounced with a z sound at the end, right? And remember, cuando pluralizamos la palabra caballo, horses, cambia de ser una sílaba a dos. He has a horse, he has horses, right? So whores like to ride a horse. Whores like to ride a horse. They have a different ending sound, all right? Excellent job. Hey, I fooled you, but I wasn't. Now you know. Now you know. All right, amigos, it is time for today's news report.
This is the news report on the show with no name, bringing you the latest breaking news. I'm Alberto Alonso, reporting live.
All right, amigos, that's right. It is our news report. All right, I'm sure you've heard the expression to throw someone under the bus. This is to blame them or abandon them, right? It's not a good thing. If someone throws you under the bus, te venden, right? They say, I'm going to save my ass. F you. Okay? That's big. You threw me under the bus, man. We were both involved and you threw me under the bus. All right, well, obviously this story has to do with a bus. A man took a bus on a joyride. You know what a joyride is? It's a song by Roxette. Come on, join the joyride. A joyride is when you steal a car and you take it for a ride. Por felicidad. Okay? Also, if you say, I'm going to go take a joyride in your own car, pues voy a dar un paseo en el coche. So it can be stolen or not. The context will tell you. Okay? I'm thinking of the movie Ferris Bueller's Day Off. Todo en un día, I think you call it. They take his car for a joyride, like se lo llevan de paseo. All right. So a man took a bus on a joyride, but he did a great job driving the bus. And it's not the same to drive a car than to drive a bus, is it? And this was not your typical bus. This was an articulated bus. That's the double one with the accordion in the middle. El acordeón, como lo llamo, right? And police said that there were no dings. What is a ding? Ding, como golpes. There were no dings on the bus. And so at about 9 p.m., a bus driver parked his bus at the terminal. He left to take a short break. Nothing strange there. And then a 36-year-old man boarded the bus. He sat down in the driver's seat and he drove away. Okay, no problem. Again, this was an articulated model. And so what happened was the man made several stops along the way. He was respecting the schedule. What? Yeah. He allowed the passengers to get on and off at the different bus stops. So nobody even knew. You know, people, oh, well, the bus stopped at the bus stop. I'm going to get on. They didn't know that it wasn't the real bus driver. And they said that at any given moment, there were usually around 10 passengers on his bus that he was taking for a joyride. Now, the police officers, as I said he was doing a pretty good job, in fact, for someone who hadn't driven buses because, well, the customers seemed happy. There were no accidents, no dings. But, and, you know, they're making fun of it, and it can be comical, but it is also a serious thing. You know, if somebody had gotten hurt, we wouldn't be joking around right now about this. You know, but since nobody was hurt, the police said, well, he did a good job. You know, he's hired, contratado. And at first, passengers didn't realize. Sure, the bus stopped, picked them up. You know, they said, well, you know. But then he started making some wrong turns. You know, they're like, wait, this isn't the bus route. And they started asking him some questions. And even one of the passengers started giving him directions. Like, no, you got to make a right here, man, not a left. Whoa. And in fact, somebody tried to get on the bus with an expired bus pass. And he shot them down. He told them, no, sorry, you can't get on with an expired. So he was following the rules for the most part. I mean, except stealing a bus, I guess. And so once police found out, they were notified about it, they started following the bus, but they didn't want to make it obvious. They wanted to be inconspicuous because they didn't want to chase him, because then maybe he would act erratically and people would get hurt. So they just followed behind him. And finally, with their sirens off, tenían las sirenas apagadas. And what happened is when the bus stopped, after about 15 minutes of trailing him, yendo detrás de él, they went on to the bus and took the man into custody. Okay. And he was charged with theft of over $5,000. And, the rest is just an anecdote, a funny story. It didn't have to end that way, but also they didn't release the man's name. Sometimes during these things, they release the person's name. And the reason that they didn't release his name is because they said there was a mental health component. So obviously the guy was a little bit cuckoo, a little bit nuts, a little bit wacky. All right, amigos, it is time for your spelling bee.
Spelling bee. Spelling bee. Spelling bee. Spelling bee. Spelling bee.
All right, amigos, welcome to your spelling bee here on the show with no name. This is round 1 of our spelling bee, and we'll see how you guys do. Now, don't worry if you don't get it on the first go, because as you know, I go really fast. I go as fast as lightning in the first round. Here we go. The first one is ANNA space SEWELL. The second one is BLACK space BEAUTY. The next one is ANIMAL space WELFARE. The next one, JARROLD space ampersand space SONS. The fifth one is BEDRIDDEN. And the sixth one is HEPATITIS space OR space TUBERCULOSIS. Whoa. All right. Hey, maybe somebody got it. Speaking of, there's Born to Iron Man. He says, morning, friends. Better late than never. Great to have you on board, buddy. Great to have you on board our bus. Don't worry. I know what I'm doing. I've driven this thing before. All right. Let's see if anybody got these spelling bee words after the first go. As you know, they have something to do with the historical event that occurred today. Let's see. There he is, Born to Iron Man. The first one's correct. The second one as well. The third one is correct. The fourth one is correct. The fifth one, and ladies and gentlemen, the sixth one. Unbelievable. Perfect. All right, let's see if anybody can join him in the winner's circle. This is round 2. The first word is ANNA space SEWELL. The second one, BLACK space BEAUTY. The third one, ANIMAL space WELFARE. The fourth one is JARROLD space ampersand space SONS. The fifth one is BEDRIDDEN. And the last one is HEPATITIS space OR space TUBERCULOSIS. Folks, we will be right back with the fourth and final part of today's show. So stick around. Hey, amigos, welcome back. Welcome back. This is the fourth and final part of today's show with no name. And remember, I was telling you about those little letters that I write to my daughter and then she responds? I'm showing them to you right here. If you're watching the video, Lara, love you. Hola, soy Lara y te amo. Love you. Good morning. The highlight of my day. The greatest moment of my day. And I wrote her a letter. See, I leave her a note. Mine says, I'm showing you, good morning, princess. Daddy loves you so much. Can't wait to see you later. With little hearts all over it. And she responds, Lara, love you. Hola, soy Lara. Soy con I latina. Soy Lara y te amo y con I latina. But hey, she's learning English and Spanish. And then she says, love you. Good morning. Can I ask for a more magical start to my day? Really? Luckiest guy in the whole wide world. That's my baby. All right, amigos, we are going to kick things off here with the double trouble. Is it double or is it triple? Ho, 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 ho. The good thing, it's a double trouble, and I already gave you the answers if you were paying attention. So you shouldn't have too much difficulty in today's double trouble.
Double trouble, baby. Yeah, you know what time it is. Give it up. Double trouble. I said double trouble. Double trouble. I said double trouble.
That's right, amigos. That's right. It is our double trouble section. And again, if you were paying attention, you shouldn't have any problem with today's double trouble. Ahí vamos. And you should know how to pronounce the word as well. Te dije que no hagas payasadas, tonterías. Okay? Que no hagas el loco, el ganso. Ahora, eso es harina de otro costal. Come on. I gave you that one on a silver platter. En bandeja de plata. All right. Te dije que no hagas payasadas. Okay. Hacer tonterías. Hacer el tonto, as you say. Okay. Te dije que no hagas payasadas, que no hagas el tonto. Ahora, eso es harina de otro costal. All right? That's your double trouble. You've got to use the same word twice, and I don't think you should have too much trouble with this one, especially if you were paying attention. Using another double trouble I usually use here on the show, it pays to pay attention. Vale la pena prestar atención. All right, also pay attention to our Say What soundbite. Here it is for the fourth and final time. I've got to admit, I'm quite surprised that nobody's figured it out yet. We shall see. Here you go.
Were you drinking?
Mom, do we really have to do this? You ask if I was drinking, I say no, and we both know that that's not true. I mean, aren't we past this point in our relationship?
¿Te gustaría abrir puertas a nuevas oportunidades y estar listo para cualquier desafío? Con el máster de inglés del Grupo Vaughan podrás transformar tu futuro. Este programa intensivo te ayudará a dominar el inglés profesional, perfeccionar tu comunicación y ganar la confianza que necesitas para conseguir tus objetivos. Nuestros profesores Vaughan especializados te prepararán para afrontar en inglés todas las situaciones de comunicación en un entorno profesional. No dejes que el inglés sea una barrera. Invierte en tu futuro con el máster de inglés profesional del Grupo Vaughan. Llámanos al 91-133-5833 o entra en grupovaughan.com.
Well, that's only if you want a €600 discount. Yeah. Check out the Masters right now. You can get a €600 discount. Again, I don't know if we've ever had a bigger discount than that. €600 off, but you can only take advantage of this special offer until November 30th, 2025. Also, a quick reminder, right after that, we've got our last Vaughn Radio Trivia Night of 2025, and that's going to be taking place on December 2nd at 8 p.m. at the Toast Tap Room, hosted by the one and only, you know him, you love him, the master, Richard Vaughn. That's right. And it's going to be tons of fun. If I'm not mistaken, Born to Iron Man's going to be there. Chris Valrol's going to be there. I will be there with bells on. Encantadísimo, con muchas ganas. So will you be there? I hope so. And we can even celebrate Christmas because, then we'll officially be in the Christmas spirit there. It's December and Thanksgiving is coming up. So once Thanksgiving is out of the way, Americans are officially allowed to celebrate Christmas. I know you guys start in October, some people in September, it seems, because you don't have Thanksgiving. But we have a rule, an unwritten rule that, wait, how are you celebrating Christmas? We didn't even hit Thanksgiving yet. So I'm waiting for it, though. As soon as Thanksgiving is done, which is this week is Thanksgiving, then we can get into that Christmas spirit. All right, let's see what we've got over here. Chris Valrol, she is awesome. She got today's Say What soundbite. Awesome job. Excellent job. Awesome. All right, let's see the double trouble, too. She's taking a stab at the double trouble. She says, I told you not to horsing around. You got the right word. The structure's a little bit off. So I told you not to horse around, right? Es el negativo del infinitivo. So to be or not to be, right? Entonces tiene que ser en el infinitivo el verbo ahí, right? So I told you to horse around. I told you not to horse around, right? No cambia ahí el tiempo verbal, okay? So I told you not, or I told you to quit horsing around. Si pones to quit or to stop, sí que pones horsing around. Pero en el negativo del infinitivo siempre nos quedamos con esa parte que sigue siendo infinitivo. So I told you not to horse around. Now that's a horse of, te falta el a también. That's a horse of a different color. So excellent effort. Couple little adjustments there. Okay. So añadimos una a la última parte. That's a horse of a different color. Okay. Entonces, una a antes que different. And I told you not to horse around. Excellent job. All right, Chris. Rocking and rolling. Let's see. Born to Iron Man says, I told you not to make a horse play. Okay. Well, you know what? The structure is, I'm glad you wrote it just to help you out here. I told you not to horse play. Okay. To make a horse play suena como hacer que juegue un caballo. So it's not used ni con do tampoco. So I would just use it. I told you no horse play. No quiero este tipo. So te lo cambio. I told you not to horse play. Now that's a horse of another color. Okay, is that a way to say it? I've always heard, let's see, a horse of another color. Horse of another color. Hey, maybe it's how they say it in England. I want to check. That's a horse of another color. Yes, you can say a horse of a different color. Bueno. In fact, all of them say A horse of a different color. Ah, bueno, the Free Dictionary pone, ok, pues los primeros 5 en Google ponen a horse of a different color, pero luego llego al sexto y pone a horse of another color. So it is correct. I don't use that one, but just so you know, it is used by some people somewhere. I don't know, but it does say the Free Dictionary. The Free Dictionary says a horse of another color. I mean, yeah. Okay. Whereas, so you can say that, or you can say a horse of a different color. Excellent job, amigos. Great job. And speaking of horses, let's take a look at today's spelling bee. It had to do with a horse, and it's because today in 1877, en 1877, Anna Sewell, okay, that's number 1, Anna Sewell, the novelist, the author, wrote, well, she published, it was written before that, she published today her famous novel, Black Beauty. Okay, and Black Beauty is the story of a horse, and a beautiful movie, too. I remember watching the movie when I was a kid. And in fact, the full name of the novel, are you ready for this? Now, everybody calls it Black Beauty. Okay, no sé cómo se llama en español esta novela, pero en inglés es muy, muy buena. And it's called Black Beauty, His Grooms and Companions, the autobiography of a horse. And you know what? It was one of the first novels to deal with animal welfare, you know, teaching humans that animals should be treated with kindness, sympathy, and respect, and that they have feelings too. You know, just because they're not humans doesn't mean they don't get sad or feel pain or suffer, right? Just like any human would. So we call it Black Beauty. And again, now the interesting thing about this novel, she wrote it from her bed. She was bedridden. And that was the 5th word in today's spelling bee. Bedridden, confinada a la cama, you'd say. Let's see. Bedridden, postrado en cama, confinada en cama. It means you're so sick that you can't get out of bed. You're bedridden. Okay, bedridden. So imagine that. Even though she was hurting, she either had hepatitis or tuberculosis. That was number 6. Okay, back then it wasn't as easy to diagnose people. We're talking about 1877. And so she either had hepatitis or tuberculosis, so she didn't have energy. She couldn't get out of bed. But that didn't stop her brain and her fingers from writing one of the greatest novels ever. And again, it's about a horse. It's called Black Beauty. And number 1 then was her name, Anna Sewell. Number 2, the name of the novel, Black Beauty. Number 3 was animal welfare, because that was one of the themes in the novel. Number 4 was Gerald and Sons. You say editorial, we say the publisher. That was the publisher. Number 5 was bedridden, the way she wrote the book. She was bedridden. And number 6 was hepatitis or tuberculosis, one of the afflictions that ended up taking her life eventually. So excellent job, Chris Valrol and Born to Iron Man. All right, it is time to move on to Name That Movie. Name That Movie. That's right, my amigos. Welcome to Name That Movie here on the show with no name. Let's take a look at today's Name That Movie, and we'll see if you know the movie, if you're familiar with it based on the premise, on the synopsis. After Playboy bunny Shelley is kicked out of the Playboy mansion, she finds a job as the house mother for a sorority full of socially awkward girls. Okay? So a Playboy bunny is, if you remember back in the day, they had the Playboy bunnies and they had the ears, and she was kicked out. To be kicked out or to be thrown out. Same, they're synonyms. She was kicked out of or thrown out of the Playboy mansion, and she finds a job as the house mother. This is like the chaperone, the person who keeps an eye on all the youngsters. Okay, it's the house mother for a sorority. Now, in American universities, you have fraternities and you have sororities. I never was a member. I did hang out with many of these fraternity brothers and sorority sisters, but they're like the ones that have the Greek letters, right? Alpha, delta, beta, gamma, all of that stuff. And full of socially awkward girls. And awkward means that they're uncomfortable socially speaking. Okay? Socially awkward girls. All right, we've got a winner. Give it up for Chris Valrol. The movie's called The House Bunny. In Spanish, Conejita en el Campus. Oh, okay. Well, kind of makes sense there. So House Bunny, it's a movie with Anna Faris, also Colin Hanks, Tom Hanks' son, and Emma Stone. Wow, good cast. I have to be honest, I haven't seen the movie. It came out in 2008. And let's take a look at a scene from the movie. Shelley says, I don't think he likes me. He didn't fall for any of my tricks. And you say the same thing, no caer, right? En una trampa. So I don't think he likes me. He didn't fall for any of my tricks. To fall for. Also, to fall for someone is to fall in love with them, too. It's got that double meaning, you'll know from the context. And then Natalie says, that's impossible. Your tricks always work. And Shelley says, well, I did sexy, hice el de sexy. I did other guys want me, los chicos, todos los chicos me quieren. I worked every angle in the book. In the book is Bajo el Sol. Okay, I worked every angle, cada forma under the sun in the book. I don't know. He just stared. Solo fijó la mirada. And then Natalie says, well, what if Oliver is one of those guys who wants to have like a conversation with a girl before he hooks up with her? A lo mejor quiere tener una conversación antes de ligársela. And then Shelley says, he's gay? Again, I haven't seen the movie, but really good vocabulary to hook up with, right? To fall for. And this thing of in the book, which means bajo el sol. All right, folks, time for your joking.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, what did the guy say when he walked into the bar? Ouch. Ouch. You get it? Ouch. He walked into the bar. You're joking.
That's right, folks. You're joking. All right. You know, horses are always spreading gossip. Yeah, true story. They're always spreading gossip. They love to stir up trouble. No. Well, to stir up trouble, remover los problemas means liarla. To stir up trouble, right? To stir, remover. But here we're talking about trouble, problemas. They like to stir up trouble. Do you get the double meaning? Well, a stirrup, S-T-I-R-R-U-P, is the footrest. If you ride horses, estribo, they love to stir up trouble. Okay. All right. I got another one for you here then. All right. What's a horse's least favorite song? What is a horse's least favorite song? Purple Rain. No. Purple Rain. Well, rain is, right, lluvia, but also rain, riendas, All right. Okay. We'll move on. It's time for famous birthday trivia.
Famous birthdays for you. Famous birthdays for me. Famous birthdays for everyone on the show with no name. Famous birthdays for him. Famous birthdays for her. Famous birthdays for everyone on the show with no name.
All right, let's get right into it. Number one, this person was born today in 1962, an English singer, songwriter, and guitarist. The guitarist who formed the band from Manchester, the Stone Roses. He formed the band along with singer Ian Brown. And even to this day, the Stone Roses, well, they've kind of influenced Oasis and, well, many other bands with that British sound, you know what I mean? And that's number one. And in fact, his last name, a ver cómo se dice en español, his last name means something. I just don't know how to say it. Hacendado, Escudero. That's his last name. All right, number two, this guy is Tom Hanks's son. Okay, he, no matter how much of a good actor he is, he's Tom Hanks's son. He's been in many, many movies. Orange County, The House Bunny. Hey, that's today's name, that movie. Elvis and Nixon. Also, he was in Jumanji, the film series, and, well, many, many other things, including the series Dexter, which was very popular as well. And last but not least, this actress, born in Manhattan, she's been in many movies, Private Parts. She was also in Annie, the 1999 remake. She was in Blind Date, but I think she's most famous for playing Haley Dunphy in the series Modern Family. Haley Dunphy in the series Modern Family. Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for Chris Valrol. Number one, John Squire. John Squire. Did you know the word squire? Well, if you didn't, now you do. Hacendado. Isn't that Mercadona? Number two, Colin Hanks. And number three, Sarah Hyland. And that's going to bring us over to our Say What soundbite. This is Sarah Hyland in Modern Family. And her mom says, "Were you drinking? ¿Estabas bebiendo?" And she says, "Mom, do we really have to do this? You ask if I was drinking, I say no, and we both know that that's not true. I mean, aren't we past this point in our relationship?" So, and you can imagine her mom's answer was not a positive one after that comment. Here it is, today's Say What soundbite.
Were you drinking?
Mom, do we really have to do this? You ask if I was drinking, I say no, and we both know that that's not true. I mean, aren't we past this point in our relationship?
Hi, hello, Alberto. I think the song is. No? Sorry, bye.
Name that lyric, name that lyric, name that lyric, name that lyric only on the show with no name, the show with no name, the show with no name. It's name that lyric only on the show with no name, the show with no name, the show with no name. It's name that lyric only on the show with no name.
All right, folks. Excellent job today. Great job. Don't forget to stay tuned. Up next, you've got Speaking with Confidence with Ale, and I'm sure you'll learn tons of stuff from her and the rest of my amigos all afternoon long. All right, we're going to say goodbye with a song by the Stone Roses. It's called Made of Stone. That's right. And the first line, he says, "Your knuckles whiten on the wheel." You know the word knuckles? Knuckles are nudillos, the things on your hand. In fact, if something is white knuckle, it's really scary. Think about it. You're gripping, you're holding something so tight that your knuckles turn white. Hey, I'm a poet and I didn't even know it. Your knuckles whiten on the wheel, talking about the steering wheel. The last thing that your hands will feel. Your final flight can't be delayed.
retrasado. No earth, just sky. It's so surreal. Your pink fat lips let go a scream. You fry and melt. I love the scene. It's called Made of Stone, and it's by the Stone Roses. Thank you so much, everybody. And we'll be back tomorrow with more. I promise. Ciao for now. Come on. Yeah.